Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Here's another base 44 unit. I believe these, and of course it says property of Radionic Trust Limited. Oh my. And this is very similar to the other unit, and it's another beautiful instrument that actually sits like this. I don't have this propped up behind it. It's made to prop up like this, and I'll show you that. But it's another beautiful unit. I believe these were, and of course it's a base 44. What the hell is that, dude? Well, this is very much like the other one I showed you, and why is it? Base 44, all the dials end at 44. And it's just a beautiful unit, as all these things. I mean, what works of art. These are impressive. These took a lot of work, a lot of money to make, and it's sad that all this stuff is really appreciated by the general public, and we have such garbage that is called radionics on the market today. But, producing something like this is not cheap. It also takes a lot of manpower, engineering, and general finances to get them out there. Things that people seem not to understand because they think that everything is made in China cheaply because of the slave labor. They use prisoners, they use the military, and, of course, they have all these government funds where they make a bunch of junk, mostly. And, of course, we find that acceptable. So getting instruments such as this, or overpaying for that same junk, which you get from people like Apple, who charge you a fortune where they pay pennies and exploit people. But of course, that's the way of the world. The problem here is, and we need to understand, is that this kind of technology was birthed at a time where there was some support. This is all basically coming from England. And apparently, there was enough people buying this equipment. And this is not pre-1920. This is a time, I'm not sure when these were made, 40s, 50s. I guess maybe the drug culture wasn't as high then, maybe even later. This could have been the 60s, 70s, etc. I'm not sure when these were made and when Malcolm Ray was so active. But Delawarr made units like this as well, and they used these and so forth. So you're talking on 50s, 60s, even into the 70s. Which is still a long time ago. You're talking about 50, 60 years ago to some extent. But even if it's newer than that, apparently there was enough people and someone put their time and money into this to actually make something of this kind of staggering and beautiful quality. Now, we will be going into and looking into these units for those who are advanced students and want that. And you have to be an all-access member. A whole $8 a month. Can you afford that? Well, maybe you should cut back on that crap coffee that you buy outside and all those garbage meals you get that don't even fill your stomach for an entire day. Maybe you should do something to support world change and organizations that are doing something. So being part of Patreon, All Access, supporting an organization who's really serious in their work and who's trying to do things. And this is the time, people. We've got another 5 or 6 years, and then that's going to be the end of it. If there isn't a proper organization funded here that can take care of this, this is all going to die. So the only organizations other than IGOS are two very old organizations that don't really seem to do anything. And never will. And of course, the people running them are people that are in their 70s. It's pretty sad. So the whole idea is that this is the reality of what's going on out there, and it is sad that these kind of things aren't saved. There doesn't seem to be, the Radionic Institute tends to sell stuff like this in the UK, and I don't think they have any kind of showrooms or anything else. What are they going to do with it? What do they care? Well, I mean, you're a radionic organization. Shouldn't you have all these things? So this is part and parcel of what's going on in this role. Let's show you this really cool unit here as a final. But it comes in this really cool case. I can do it here. Comes in this really cool case. So this is what it is in the back here. See if we can get a little view of this. You'll see that it has this little thing to hold it up. Well, how cool is that? Because one problem with radionics is actually using the units. And how do you do that? Lying them flat, of course, is how most people use units, but that doesn't work all that well. It's nice to have something that if you're tuning to be propped up. So this unit, you propped it up and then you opened it up. Let's see if we can show that again here. So you prop it up in the back, then you open the top up, and then you fold the top down here. Let's see if I can get that thing on the back. It's a little, you gotta position it just right. There we go. Well, you've opened that up, and then of course you have the bottom here, and then you open this up. Now, how cool is that? And you've actually got your rubbing plate here. So this is how you're tuning, and this is how you do tuning through the rubbing process. Here's an actual witness plate. Here's your, here's the witness plate, your typical stainless steel plates. And, of course, you've got your rubbing plate, which is very typical of, I believe these are Ray units, Malcolm Ray. They could be, as I said, Delawarr as well. And of course they have the metal, but it's, see how it's peeling here. It's got a rubber, well, we would consider this today like rubber gloves. So this is a rubber coating over it so you can get that stick effect. And, when you're tuning a lot of dials, the only way you can really dial them in, as much as I don't personally like it, is through the rubbing. So you're turning the dials and rubbing this, and this gets you. But when you got to go through 44 numbers, and how many dials is this? 3, 6, 7, 8, 3 times 8, 24. And so when you got 24 dials plus 2 other balancing dials here, that's a lot of tuning to go through. If you have to go through this with a actual step by step, and I usually do it in tens with the pendulum. You go up to 10 and say, is this close? 20, is this close? When you get it close, then you, with the pendulum, then you go up by a few notches. Now, that's a very arduous and difficult way to do it, even though I prefer it because I think you get better reactions. But a lot of people love the stick, and this is why you do the stick while turning, is because you can go through the numbers very quickly. So if you're going to get into lots of dialing, that's exactly what you're going to do. So you're going to use that type of a method. But you can see a beautifully designed unit opens up. You can work on it. You can see the dials are clear because you're sitting in front of them. A really nice design that you can do using that open up type chest, and the back that actually has a holder on it to keep it propped up. So yet again, while we showed you another beautiful unit like this is another take on it, another improvement. And of course, God knows how many models like this. Apparently, as I said, people were buying these. These were selling. This is quite an expensive unit to make, and I'm assuming for its time it sold for a lot of money as well. And this weighs quite a bit. Now, the inside of this, which we'll show to the Patreon All Access member, this thing weighs probably 25 pounds. What's in there? Why is that? Why is it so heavy? Why is so much of this electronics from the past so heavy? And they use very heavy materials, very weighty. I'm assuming there must be lead in these things, very heavy steels and leads. And I'm not really sure why they would do that. But, in the past, and, small, lightweight, this is something of the last 20 years. Before that, most things were pretty big. Until we went into solid state, we weren't able to shrink things down. When we had to move away from tubes. Tubes tend to be very large, so you're going to have to make large cabinets, and they tend to have heavy electrical that go with tubes. The tubes push into apparently very heavy bases. So this kind of heavy electronics out there is very common and new. Old. The new stuff, as of recent, we get smaller and smaller and lighter. And it really has happened in the last 10 to 20 years, where we can now make things small and light, thanks to integrated circuits and a few other things. But that was not the case in the past. People made things big and heavy, and that was the tech. On the other hand, it is a good idea. If you're going to do tuning and you want to see a dial, well, you need a good-sized dial. So many of these little units and the stick-on crap you get from a unit like this, all this is that dial behind that's just a sticker. And look at those little marks. Can you actually see those? Not really. Real crap tech. And, something to think about. How are they using it? I mean, if you're going to be a professional person, you should try and make big dials that are readable. Or you got to position something. Like these are big enough. These must be inch and a half, 2 inches. And, of course, you can see them. Nice, clear movement here. You can see these dials and dial them in well. And, of course, isn't that what a radionics unit is all about? Well, everybody wants to use rate books, so you can just go through a rate book and say, oh, this dial should be this. So, and everybody loves that. Now, this doesn't seem to have any card slots, which is Malcolm Ray's specialty. So this may have been a Delawarr unit that was made this way, but it's a base 44. We'll have to look into that to find out. And then, of course, seeing the guts of these things is always fascinating to see what they put in there. Were they amplifiers? What kind of energy were they putting through these things? And this is all part of the mystery of what was being done then. Now, the gossip is that in not ancient times, but in older times, that all this stuff worked great. Well, why? Certainly not happening today with the really low-level junk that is available out there. And that's basically what it is. It's unimaginative, low-level. It's made... Some people make okay stuff, but it's not really very sophisticated. It's in plasticky little crap boxes. I mean, there's really no art form to it. And, of course, some people want these inexpensive little junks, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not getting yourself a quality unit that is really amplified. We have recently come out with some very base units, and we'll be coming out with some very advanced professional units as well. This will be an exciting area for radionics in general, and people will be able to move ahead quick and fast in this industry. But of course, if you want world change, you must participate. For a few dollars a month, you can help this organization and get this entire technology back. This technology makes every area of your life better. It can save the life of your family, your friends, your pets. All of this is possible with this type of technology. But the bottom line is that there's nobody out there doing it, and the industry has been taken over by criminals, thugs, and Satanists. Very sad. But that doesn't have to be. You've allowed that to happen. You can support others that are doing the good work and are setting up organizations. It's all part of being part of the solution and not supporting the problem. Until next time.